Obviously, the topic I want to talk about today is prefabrication, where it's going. Our industry continues to grow. We continue to get input from, all the manufacturers do. And I know I speak for Oldcastle, I speak for, Truss-Built and their wall system. We continue to get input, and we continue to try to innovate products. What we're doing on the prefab side is we're very conscientious of the lack of labor force, and we are trying to figure out more ways to deliver a quality product that saves you time and money on the job. Now, first off, we're used to seeing traditional jail construction, and it's usually a wet, confusing mess that everybody's waiting till someday till it gets paint on it and all the, site moisture's dried up, and what do we have? And we hope it's the right thing. Sometimes what we have is not what we intended to have. Some materials are better suited for certain conditions. Some coatings are better suited. So this is Indiana shower unit still being used here. But it starts to show some of the issues involved with everything being on site. Old technologies, CMU. A lot of people say, well, why would I consider prefab? We've got a great we either have a company or we have a great company that can build it out of CMU. Well, I challenge you to find me, 10 guys across the country that are 18 years old that are working with, someone to learn this trade. We're not seeing it. We're seeing one masonry bid on a job, no masonry bids on jobs. So what we're trying to do with the technologies that all three of the prefabricated companies represented here today is replace some of that, replace what makes sense, and that's what we'll talk a little bit about. Some other typical pictures. Now, the perceptions, I want to try to kill those if at all possible, but usually when you hear modular, this comes to mind. Oh, it's something cheap, something temporary. That's not really what we're talking about here. We're talking about permanent construction. We're talking about fabricating it in a quality-controlled factory to high standards and high productivity and shipping it to the site. This is not the prefabricated construction that you should be thinking about today. However, this is. This is a design solely based around prefabricating as much as you can, delivering it to the site. And then you see the day room picture below, very typical, common, very clean, and very efficient layout. Now, I'm going to harken you back to my initial picture, wet stacked blocks and dirt on the floor. This is a modular version of what they were trying to do in the field in that first picture. And just like Greg mentioned, what we're trying to reduce is manpower on the site, time on the site. You're getting a new jail. We hope that you don't have to patch up something. You should really move into a brand new jail. And we think with some of the technologies that we have today, we're giving you a better chance to move right into something really brand new instead of something that's been weathered for 2 or 3 years on its way. The different types have been mentioned. Obviously, I do a modular steel version. There are modular concrete versions like Oldcastle does, and there are wall panel systems where you can do various configurations and create those somewhat in the factory and somewhat on site. Different projects lend themselves to different benefits of one of these systems versus the other. Typical prefab cell system, a complete prefab cell system is going to be a 5-sided box. Maybe it's equipped with even up to wiring nowadays, and we'll talk about that with some of the other presenters. Typically speaking, lightweight, is the steel mantra, both panels and prefab boxes. Be part of the building structure is usually part of the precast methodology, and there are advantages to either system. But the one thing that was kind of proven true is you need to kind of pick your building system and then work to its advantages. And all of them have advantages, and we have quality manufacturers represented here today. Key thing, get it to the site quickly. And I'll go over some of the schedule stuff that's involved with that and why it can add value to your job. But typically they're going to come in on various trucks, make installation as fast as possible. We've all worked on a project together where we've set 176 modular units in a week on the 4th floor of a building. That's pretty fast. Hopefully, sometime during the day, you'll see a video of Posey County. And using the prefab construction at Posey County, it's really interesting because you see all the cells get set in one day, time-lapse photography. In that same time period, they get about 2 courses of block done on a demising wall or a corridor wall they're done. So that kind of gives you some of the speed. Just a few, random pictures here. The other thing, as far as new technologies go, really it's a revised technology. It used to be out there, and then everything strictly went to a front chase cell, but is the utilization of a rear plumbing chase, electrical chase. What we're trying to do, listening to the owners, is, we don't like toolboxes coming into the inmate areas. Check-in screwdrivers, there's a missing screwdriver, and we've got a problem. So trying to keep as much of the maintenance and preventive maintenance out of the day-to-day operations and day-to-day contact with the inmates. And all the systems allow for rear chase. I would say today we probably do 90% of the projects we do. I'm sure Brad's seeing a lot more rear chase. I'm sure Oldcastle seeing a lot more rear chase. It works. It's a benefit long-term to keep your project moving. After you've been turned over, we can bring in maintenance. We can bring in third-party maintenance and not interrupt the inmate. As far as the new technologies, and Greg mentioned that all of us used to focus solely on cells. Don't talk to us about anything. Let's see what your cells look like. But as the market changed and as this continuing reduction in availability of skilled workforce on the site, we began to be asked to do more and more. And this is actually a 2-story control room from Washington County, Indiana. It was the first one we did on that project. We ended up, before and after, we ended up doing corridors, sally ports, pretty much everything you have in your detention area. One of the guys we worked with said his goal was to have a jail on a truck, deliver it, put it up, and move fast and go on to do the next job. Now, speed is the key thing to really consider when I'm looking at conventional construction versus prefab or modular construction. How and why? Well, we can run in parallel processes to the overall project schedule. While you're working on site conditions, maybe building structure, all your civil work, there can be a whole process going on in an off-site manufacturing plant where these cell modules, which are really the heart of your jail, are being built. And at some point, those two lines, the prefab, off-site fabrication, and site work merge. And instead of having everything in one linear line where you have to wait on you can't go to step B until step A is done all the way through the end of the job, we can run some parallel lines. That should move faster, and on construction jobs, faster should equal less overall money. Got a lot of contractors in the room. What is a month's worth of being on a job site worth, Rob Train? It depends on the job, I know, but yeah, cut 5-6 months out. That's real savings, real cost savings to the job. And again, it's not just that one 5-sided box. You can prefabricate. This is a wall panel version of a dorm room. We make as many things alike as we can for efficiency, and then pre-paint them and bring them in and install them on the job site. That's prefabrication in a nutshell. Over time, we begin to look at many of the problems that we're facing in corrections. So, state of Virginia, just as an example, wants to build a new a complete new facility, they want to have all 5 types of their incarceration levels on one campus. But the goal is they don't have a problem with the guy coming out of solitary or a single bed cell into a double bed cell. But to get them to move from that double bed cell where they've only got one person to worry about to 32 in a room, huge issue. They find they act up just enough to stay in that double cell situation. So some of the things we've tried to introduce is a little more partitioning. We still have a dormitory situation as you see in these pictures, but a little more separation. I mean, we're all human beings. We don't like to, cohabitate, but with, a few people at a time. So the other emerging trends have been very specialized ways to address mental health, even medical needs, and in particular, this is a cell design that, we invested quite a bit of time and effort in working with the Ohio Department of Youth Services. I think that's the correct name. And what they were looking at was what they called, or in the end, what we called a more normalized environment. And, we're seeing that trend in juvenile facilities around the country. My home state of Georgia is very fastly adopting this. In their latest project, we were just awarded, actually last week, and it utilizes this same concept. And what we're trying to do at the direction of those experts, we're really not the experts in mental health or youth services. We're just the provider that listens and says, this is available, are things that, maybe will change their cognitive behavior. If we can't affect a change in a youth, he probably becomes an adult offender. So, simple things, a little more space, chalkboards, a $250 chalkboard, detention grade chalkboard, but $250, gives them an outlet. Doesn't cost a lot, gives them an outlet. Addressing how they groom themselves over the, more normalized fixtures versus that stark, combination, everything, one thing very small, very much out in the open, which is our normal adult housing situation. Just things that divide up the room and give them a little more self-esteem, maybe. This is a Georgia juvenile project, and you're starting to see some colors and textures and, different approaches. And this is where our industry is going. And SteelCell, along with the other manufacturers, really do have to address these with our products. Other newer technologies, again, we're trying to do as much as we can. TJ will be coming up, a later speaker, and we are working with him, co-developed a modular control system, and I'll let him do most of the explaining about it because I'm not, I'm an old IT guy, but that's DOS programming in Apple computers years ago, so TJ can explain a little bit more about that, but it's taken more of the site work, and actually site work that takes forever to get done and putting it in the factory. We offer this product. It can be connected with any integrator on the front end, but another savings, time and money savings on job. And really, anything in our prefab world, and I borrowed this from an architectural friend here because I thought this was really, this should be your roadmap, really, if you're looking at how you're going to build a jail. Is it innovative? Is it smarter? Is it lower cost, lower maintenance, and faster? I mean, if you get all those things, they add up to value on a job. And I think with the ever-emerging newer things, we continue to add to all these pots, and we continue to create value. A lot of our, products, all the manufacturers offer extended warranties. The typical warranty on anything in construction is 1 year from substantial completion. Well, the first speaker was talking about give me a shower that's not a problem. Well, we're starting as a manufacturing industry to offer solutions for that, 10-year warranties, either a factory-built, polyurea-coated system, a prime coat wall panel system. All these are very much upgrades over the old, you know, put something on the block, start out with paint, cover it with tile starts falling off, you know, come back in, coat it with something else. Those are just not good solutions when you're operating in jail. Now, you know, getting the right product, Joe's talked about in his conversation about manufacturer qualifications. Listen, there is no substitute for going out and kicking the tires. You know, we have manufacturing plants come, arrange a visit, see what's going on. Go to sites. Are we perfect? No, none of us are perfect, but how do we handle our customers? Ask those questions. Don't depend on a glossy brochure. Anybody can do a glossy brochure. So get out, go kick the tires. And for you architects and CMs at risk, design build teams, design to best uses. Unfortunately, I can't give you a good scenario where you can say, okay, I'm going to do a set of plans, and I'm going to write the specs where I can get a SteelCell bid, a wall panel bid, and a precast bid. That doesn't work. You have to take away from everybody's core strengths to find some, you know, common ground. When in essence, all you've done is really you've just cost your company money and your architects drawing things that, you know, really probably aren't too doable at that point. So design the best use is the key thing. In manufactured products, there's a lot of testing. That's ever changing. There are regular committees that meet. We get input from the users, the designers, the builders, and, you know, the cell wall itself is subject to an ASTM F2322 test and others, but just one example. And that is impacting with a blunt and sharp object. Why would we do that? Well, that's kind of what happens in jails if we lose control for even a short period of time. So a typical grade 1 test is 600 blows. Other manufacturers, we've tested ours. Maybe that's a 1 or 2 hour attack. We've tested ours to a shift attack. And that's, you know, that's just things you should dig around, you should see evidence of. That lets you know you're getting a product that's not just a pretty product or not just an inexpensive product to make. It is the product that will fit your needs. At this point, I want to, and I'm going to transition to one of our top suppliers in the industry, Willoughby, and talk about some of the new things that they're doing, but I want to answer any questions that anybody might have, and the guys from Oldcastle and Trust Built, actually CML's done a lot of the wall panels, maybe they can chime in as well. So I'd open up for any questions. Yeah.
You talked just a little bit about logistics. You mentioned 176 units.
Yep.
You store it on site, I assume, or on the road?
SteelCell itself, you know, and I speak for my company on this, we can store 600 finished units in our manufacturing plant. So what we're going to try to do is pretty much stage your jail in our manufacturing plant. I know Oldcastle tries to do the same thing. The panel system is different. You're going to put it together on the site so they can deliver in smaller groups. But we're going to try to take your project, whatever size it is, work with your construction manager, and on someday he's going to say, I want cells to start deliver here, and how fast can that be done? Now that can only be done working with a quality detention equipment contractor. They are the installers of the cell, so that's the logistics. It is store them, stage them, and be ready to have trucks roll in on a continual basis. That's the only way you get that done. No, we don't suggest laying them down on a job site to stage them. We'll bring them as you need them. Yep.
So when you think about the previous presentation in relates to Marion County, you have this sizable project. It's going to be much larger than what most counties are going to experience.
Right.
Can you speak a little bit to how your product might work in concert with maybe a trust-built wall panel system? Do they work well together when the supply or the demand outweighs the supply? Can you say a word about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you know, and I would throw Oldcastle in that same mix. Again, design the best uses. If we're building a prefab box, as a manufacturer, we're looking for a lot of things alike. So certain things are going to fit certain styles of prefab better. And, in the end, we're all, more of the top tier leading edge companies. And, quite frankly, not only is that possible, it's already happened on a lot of projects. Maybe not as large a scale as Marion, but, we have a working relationship with Old Castle, not a collusionary relationship. I mean, working on products that may integrate together, and the same thing with TrustBuilt. TrustBuilt's one of the suppliers of polymetal for us. So there's already that baseline to do that, and I would say on the larger projects, yeah, as Joe stated, there's a pretty definite capacity problem coming up in the market. And yes, it is very likely that that is the best solution for a job that size, is multiple suppliers. So there's one more question, yeah.
I wanted to ask about the 10-year warranty.
Yeah.
What does that cover warranty?
Well, the 10-year warranty is specifically written in regard to the coating, but it extends to anything fixed in the cell. Now, I can't warranty a lot for 10 years, but it would be your structure of your cell, it would be the coating on the walls of your cell, it would be the mount of the furniture to the wall. Your moving parts, unfortunately, hinges, locks, that's all really going to, how well they last is going to depend on how well you service them and do preventive maintenance. So that would be outside the scope of the 10-year warranty, but the coatings, the walls, the structure would fall in that 10-year warranty.
Mike, do I have to have my building tied to the weather in order to install your product?
Not necessarily. That is preferred, but in some cases there are circumstances that would dictate that's not the best way to do it. For instance, the large control room, you're probably going to want to fly that thing in through a hole in the roof. If you've got a typical county jail job and you're using a structure that's high enough to double stack cells on the inside of the building, you're probably better off to install them under the roof. And the main reason is again, it's delivering a brand new product. Do we want a product that's finished in the factory that sits in the weather for 3-4 months? No, I don't think that's a good practice for our industry to do. But saying that, yes, we'll see them installed as the roof is going up. They're designed for a wet condition. They're just not designed to be in the weather 3 or 4 months. You've got light fixtures in there that have electronics on the inside. We've got toilets and laboratories that we pay for a nice stainless steel finish on them that you don't want just to sit out in the weather. Moving parts such as hooks, hinges, at some point exposed to the weather, they begin to deteriorate. Yeah.
Well, that's a good point, but one of the things that we have done working with SteelCell over the years is figured out that the best way for us to protect his cell on site is to lock it up in the plant. In other words, instead of letting it come out to the job site and letting the painter and the plumber put all their stuff in there and spill everything all over, and all of a sudden we get ready to open up the building and we have 4 room cells. So we typically now ship the hardware to the plant and then lock it up and then set the cells, and then you don't get to use them until we're ready to turn cells.
Other questions?
How many counties in Indiana are you doing with your product?
It might be easier to say which ones we haven't done. I don't know. A good majority of the county jails that have been built in Indiana in the last 10 years have been built around this technology. But we've done, at this point in time, we've done 190 projects. We were a little train that could for a long time, but we've done 190 projects. We ourselves have probably put 12,000 cells in place everywhere from the Olympic Peninsula of Washington State to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. So, the Midwest, I think the propensity of the Midwest to utilize steel, this is the home of steel, the whole entire Midwest, has been good, and we've always seemed to have a very good pool to draw from for installers, union iron workers. They're more prevalent in this Midwest than some other parts of the country. But a large number, Joe may have an idea.
Well, I can tell you this, since Probably since we started doing SteelCells here, we had a couple architects in particular. I think Joe Morax in the audience today, I probably have to give him credit as the architect who probably started the modular cell program here in the state of Indiana. It's taken off now, the other architects all use it. But I think if you go back to start with Park County in the mid-1990s, I don't think we've done any county jail here that hasn't gone modular scale.
Right.
I mean, you can go to our website, check out the majority of them. There's another manufacturing firm, Mark Solutions, that did a few jails around. They did Pulaski, they did Brown County, they did Johnson, but then they closed. But, so I would say almost every job in this state, the county, has done modular steel cells. And I think even maybe Kevin Orr could address, maybe the state of Indiana might be looking at that for some of their future housing projects.
So sorry I don't have that answer. I could definitely look it up. Yeah, it's a lot.
How would you repair or replace one of these cells if it ends up being structurally deficient or like a total replacement or something over?
Sure. In that rare case, there's a couple of good things about using the steel product. You can take it and sell it, scrap. You can take it and sell it. So just throw that in there. It's recyclable. It all, generally speaking, it all comes from recycled steel. So I just get that little green pitch in. But you'd have a number of ways to do that. I mean, I would say if the building's up and you don't have a large hole to replace it, I would call Brad and say, hey, Brad, ship me some panels. We need to replace the cell here. And use that system. That's one of the places that system, a panelized system, you can bring it in through a doorway, piece by piece. If your building was set up well enough to maybe remove a panel. I mean, in some buildings that way, if you have a pre-engineered metal building, maybe you could remove a panel, then it goes in it takes just as much labor to put it in as it does take it out, so.
And you said a different product for the walls to
I didn't understand that.
You said call another manufacturer?
I said that would be one option. One option for me would actually be, let's say you've got one cell in a block and there is no hole in the wall or no way to create a hole in the wall, then yes, I would reach out to another one of our manufacturers for a, panelized system.
And if it's a stacked area, they don't have any problem branching up?
No. We all work to certain performance standards, and typically speaking, we're all trying to create the smallest footprint with all of our products that we possibly can. So there's going to be some compatibility there. Actually, we use the same exact steel to make a panelized system as we do a prefab system. So you'd see a difference. It would obviously be something different, but that could easily be done, and that might be the most cost-effective thing. It would all be situation dependent, but you'd have options. Other question? Yep.
Mike, has your steel cells always been rear chase, or has there been a time where there's been front chases on them?
There is always front chase cells going through our shop. You're going to actually see, after we break and go outside and see the product, you're going to see a rear chase cell and a side chase cell. So the one, we tell our clients to come through, if you want it pink and fluffy, we're your guys, we can do it for you. Now, we don't recommend it, but we can do it. So I think the key thing about prefabrication is not buying off a list of products. You can still have your custom product. You can get custom feature, but you just have it made in a factory environment versus a field environment. So, Dan, yeah, we do front chase steel, not near as many. We're starting to see a full side chase, and the majority is still rear chase. Other questions? Well, I'm going to invite Craig Alderson up from Willoughby. We've worked with Willoughby from the beginning of SteelCell. When you find a vendor that works hand in hand and is innovative and usually says, yes, I think we can do that, or yes, let me get with engineering and let us come up with a solution, you hold on to that vendor. So I would say all but a very, very small handful of sales that we've ever made include plumbing products from Willoughby. They're your hometown detention fixture. They have another wide range of products. We use them strictly in detention. One of the prevalent things, and Craig will talk about this, that we've started to see is, managing that valuable resource of water. It's real, it's a fact, and Willoughby, just like they always have stepped up, they've innovated, and they offer a system now that I think you'll find very interesting. But Craig, all yours.